Le Sélect was a very, very special place for many different reasons. Most restaurants are lucky if they can get to 3 years nowadays, 5 years, 10 years, wow, that's pretty good. 15, okay. Like 40 plus years, like that's nuts.
Like the name Le Select in Toronto holds a tremendous amount of weight.
When people come to places like this, they don't merely walk into a dining room, they walk onto the stage on which they live the theater of their life.
Food is the way that we go about life, the very sustenance to keep us going forward. The community Le Select builds is a unique treasure. We get a personal outlook on the struggles small businesses have to prevail through when it comes to keeping afloat. In fact, most restaurants struggle to stay in business after or as little as 3 years. A condo development team buys this restaurant and soon after they close their doors. There's lifetime bonds created here, as you notice. Many of the employees have moved on to other places, but come back to share their experiences of their treasured perspective of Le Select. You see, had it not been for this experience at this place, they wouldn't be where they are today. The restaurant eventually reopens under new management as we get to peek on what it's like to this new store. And you can witness the energy here of bringing love together. And I don't think that will ever change. They made a delightful impact towards their direct community.
It was really heartwarming to learn about the experiences of the employees, especially because I feel like for a lot of us, it's a rarity to have that sense of family in the workplace. And to see that camaraderie, it was something very precious, honestly, which made it very heartbreaking hearing about it closing, but then also very uplifting at the end, seeing that they did manage to get it back up and running again. Again, that sense of camaraderie is something that I feel is very rare in the workplace. And it's definitely a testament that any place that can make you feel like that is definitely worth keeping.
The nostalgic tone from all those chefs that started or grew their careers in this restaurant, the bistro, it's just so heartwarming. The companionship you feel, the sadness in their testimonies. It's just very, very beautiful. And this is in contrast with the sad truth about gentrification in a lot of city neighborhoods in order to maximize the developers' profits. This is happening everywhere, and it's just sad to see these very traditional places go down. In this one, it didn't go down, it just had to switch. But it was just beautiful to hear about their stories.
A Toronto landmark that's over 40 years old. The neighborhood loves this restaurant and doesn't want to see it go. In fact, most in the community want it to remain. And the property will be taken by city development for condos, like we've been hearing so much in the news. New York, social media, people are constantly posting about the state of city development. And in Vancouver, we've watched 3 or 4 restaurants that we dearly loved and would visit as much as we could, force their owners to early retirement. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. It does say in the end, and that shows that it doesn't actually close, but is opened up by a new owner, but it's not the same, and the former people are already ousted. I just wish there was a way that there could be a policy to have the cities build up and around or include the restaurants into their building.
So I like the use of archival footage. It really adds to the authenticity and love that the people have for this restaurant, as well as the history of the restaurant. So it sort of like gives you an idea of like where it stands and kind of gives you a background in history, all the information you need to know to kind of propel us forward into the documentary. So I always appreciate that inclusion of archival footage. I do like how they personified the restaurant. I think that was interesting as if it was a main subject, which it is. And I think they did that very well, and it makes the audience care about sort of the state of the restaurant and its owners alike, as if it were a real person. So I think that they really did that well.
This was an emotional roller coaster. Went from happy to sad to kind of bittersweet at the end. And I loved the ride. It was a place that it is sad when something seems to be shutting down after time, and I love that Toronto chose to keep it, and the developer did. This documentary hit on some very important parts about what government overreach can do, like shutting down small businesses. And a lot of people prefer small businesses, especially when it comes to restaurants, because they're a lot better food than the chain restaurants. And the environment that these two men created for their employees, something that most people should do. That's why people like small restaurants. They like these landmarks that are just a part of the town, and they've become part of it because of the family environment and the food that is out of this world, because their chefs will cook better if they're treated better. This is something that I hope the owners are happy with, whoever owns it now, and that they're still running it like it used to. Because the way they ran it sounded like they made delicious food with a great environment for people to work in.
It was really interesting to see how a restaurant can become so embedded in a community and actually build up its own community. There's clearly a lot of love for it, and it seems like this kind of community hub invests soul into the actual location, which is then why it's so heartbreaking when that soul is sucked out by these developers, exploiting tax hikes to try and buy out this location for, tower for buildings. And then the fact that I ended up opening it kind of seems like a victory, but when you look at it again, it's restaurants that are kind of soulless. It's almost more of a tragedy. It just goes to show up how terrible of fate is sort of awaiting all forms of communal art-based locations and independent businesses. It's genuinely heartbreaking.